following the disappearance of Jason Landry. This case is bananas. So Dateline just released a Missing in America piece on his case out of Texas, and here's the scoop. So back in December, Jason had just finished up his college semester and was going home for the holidays. According to Dateline, he leaves his apartment on December 13th, 10:55 p.m. This is in San Marcos, and then he is heading to his parents' house, which is in Missouri City, Texas. They have his phone records, which show activity using his Waze app and Snapchat at 11:05, 11:07, 11:11, and then 11:15. By 11:24, there's no activity on his phone, and then at 12:31 a.m., his car is found in the middle of nowhere, wrecked. His phone is found powered on in his car, and then his backpack is here, and his clothes are found here on the road, and there's been no sign of it.
How could a father do this to their own daughter? 24 years of her life, had 7 children by him, all spent under the home she grew up in.
Let's talk about the unknown bairn of 1971. On the 23rd of May 1971, a postman and his son came across what they first thought was a doll washed up on the beach at Tayport in Fife. It was, however, the body of a boy aged around 3 or 4 years old, still wearing what was described as a pyjama top. Nothing suggests the death was any sort of foul play, with the autopsy reports stating he was dead before he entered the water. Despite ongoing appeals and national UK news coverage, nobody ever came forward to claim or identify the child. Now, numerous theories have been put forward, including that his family were unable to meet the costs of a funeral, that he died of pneumonia, or he had been aboard a ship visiting the Tay. The people of Tayport raised money and he was buried in the village, where community representatives pay their respects once a year. His headstone reads, "Erected by the people of Scotland in memory of the unknown bairn." When you think about Scotland, what do you think of? A common answer would be bagpipes. But what happens when the piper himself vanishes into thin air? There are several stories of phantom pipers throughout Scottish history and folklore. Years ago, a vast network of tunnels is said to have existed near Stranraer in Dumfries in Galloway. Locals believed that fairies lived in these tunnels, with no one daring to go inside and disturb them. Until one day, a piper entered the caves. He played his pipes loudly, accompanied by his faithful dog. The music droned on for hours, slowly fading away until it couldn't be heard anymore. Suddenly, the dog ran out of the cave, terrified and howling. The piper was never seen again. Although the caves are long gone, on summer nights, passers-by have heard the distant sounds of bagpipes coming from deep within the ground.
What really happened to Mary Reeser?
On July 1st, 1951, at 9 p.m., Mary Reeser's son, Dr. Richard Reeser Jr., had left his mother after a visit. Reeser, who was 67, would not be seen alive again. The door to Reeser's small apartment was warm at the handle and too hot to touch. Firefighters burst into a soot and smoke-filled apartment, and Reeser was gone, and only a pile of black ash remained. Police found coil springs from the chair and part of Reeser's backbone. Her left foot sat in the pile, still wearing a black silk slipper. Her skull, reports say, had shrunken to the size of a cup. Firefighters found evidence of extreme heat. Bare candle wicks towered above puddles of melted wax. Smudges of smoke had stained the tops of the walls, and warped electric switches lined the room. Lower down, the walls were clean and the electric switches looked normal. Reeser's newspaper sat untouched, and the sheets on her bed were still white. Mary Reeser went up in flames without the rest of the room burning.
Now you might think holding a plane for ransom and then escaping mid-flight without anybody noticing is impossible, but in 1972, Dan Cooper did just that. So Cooper hops onto a plane in Portland, bound for Seattle, slipping a note to the flight attendant and telling her he has an explosive. The airline agrees to his demands of approximately $1 million today, and 4 parachutes to be ready on their arrival in Seattle. And they do all of this with the other passengers none the wiser. Once he gets his ransom, he lets all the passengers off the flight and then tells the captain that they're flying to Mexico, but first they're going to stop off in Nevada. Now when they arrive in Reno, Nevada, that's when they notice that he's not on the plane anymore. At some point, he'd managed to jump out of the plane without anybody noticing. I mean, how does that even happen? There's like air pressure and etc, etc. The last lead was in 2017 when they found a parachute strap in one of Cooper's potential landing sites. But other than that, he's never been seen or heard from again.